In today's review, we're going to learn how to drive a train. Back in my freshman year of college, I worked at Staples. And we had a gaming section. We had like Flight Simulator, and we had like the kids games from like Backyard Baseball and Freddy Fish. But we also had a game that I couldn't help but laugh at when I'd see it on the shelf. Microsoft Train Simulator. And I thought, Train Simulator? It's on a track. It's just moving in a straight line. What is there to simulate? Well, recently I found out with Japanese rail sim Journey to Kyoto. So Japanese rail sim is a series, a good 6 or 7 games long at this point, from a company called Sonic Powered. Journey to Kyoto is on the Switch, was also on the 3DS in Japan only. So is it actually interesting to drive a train? Well, let's check it out. So Japanese rail sim teaches you to drive a commuter train through 2 different lines through Kyoto. And these are like historical major train lines in Japan that just have beautiful scenery. The thing that makes Japanese rail sim really unique is that that scenery is brought on display in high definition video. Yes, they wired a train with an HD camera while it ran the tracks in both directions during different times of year, during day, during night, and then they used that HD footage to create the graphics for the game. That gives it a super unique feeling that many of the other train simulators like Microsoft Train Simulator or Densha de Go, it just lacks the realism compared to the actual video. Managing your speed between routes is a pretty simple mechanic. You may need to slow down in order to conform to local laws in different neighborhoods. You may every once in a while have to hit the horn if somebody was on the track, which is great because in the video that they've recorded here, they actually have a guy crossing the track too close to the train and they map the horn to that moment. So you hit the horn to get him out of the way. You can almost describe Japanese rail sim as a game about stopping. Really, where the fun comes in on Japanese rail sim is getting your train to stop right at the right spot, right at the right time at each one of the stops. Whether you stop early or whether you stop late, both get marked against your score. Japanese trains are about landing right on time. It's not just about speeding from stop to stop to stop. If it was, it would actually be an incredibly easy game. No, it's about pacing yourself. It's about looking at how long do I have left to reach the next stop? How fast am I going? How fast do I need to be going to get there on time? And then modulating your speed as you come up closer to the stop so that you slide right in on the centimeter of where you need to stop at exactly the second that you need to stop there. And you need to be within a centimeter, within a second, in order to get the coveted S ranking on any one of the stops in Japanese rail sim. And what that does is it takes a game with a moderate, maybe small amount of content and turns it into a lengthy test of skill as you try to master each one of the stops. So each stretch of track is also unique in its own way, with different changes in elevations and turns and just bits and pieces that make that part of the track feel a little bit different. If you're going up a hill, you got to give it a little more gas. If you're going down the hill, you really got to manage both your engine and brake in order to keep the train at a constant speed, because you can very easily barrel out of control. The Japanese rail sim comes with two full train lines, the Kurama line and the Eizon line. Now the Kurama line is about a 45-minute long run, and they filmed it going in both directions, so you can do it forward or backwards. And the Kurama line is beautiful. About the first third of the line is going kind of through downtown, which, to be honest, to be fair, is probably the least interesting part of the whole line. But as you come out of downtown and you start getting into the suburbs, you've got these kind of classic Japanese style buildings up on hills all around the track. And then as you get further and further out of town, you go through, for example, the Maple Tree Tunnel, which is just a tunnel of trees that are all in, when it's filmed in autumn, it's in this beautiful, golds and yellows. And when it's filmed in the spring, it's in brilliant greens. It's just really great scenery. And then when you come through in the other direction, you come through the wilderness and come down into downtown. On top of that, you've got the Eizon line, which goes up to a shrine up the mountain. And so it is actually a far more difficult but shorter line, about 30 minutes for the entire line. And going up the mountain, of course, you're managing your speed, attempting to get there on time when the mountain and the elevation is actually causing your train to slow down a bit more than one might normally see. But the real challenge is successfully landing all the stops heading down the Eizon line, down the mountain, trying to get this kind of speeding train to stop at each one of the stops as you make it down the mountain. A really different challenge from all of the other lines. So with the initial release, both of those lines have been filmed forward and backwards during autumn. But in addition, the Kurama line, the 45-minute long kind of main line, has also been filmed forward and backwards during the night. Some places like the Maple Tree Tunnel are specially lit at night in order to make them look absolutely stunning. In addition, there is a DLC expansion pack that'll let you play these lines during the spring instead of during the fall. And then everything is lush and green and beautiful. The music is super laid back, but then when you get into the game, all music is off, and they bring in the actual sounds recorded on a train. And so you've got kind of the voiceover of the announcement of where the next stop is, and you've got little sounds of the people shuffling around and all. It has a huge list of unlockable trophies, unlockable this travel guide with all the different locations in which you actually visit while on the train, and sort of write-ups about the historical interest or religious interest of the shrines, or just details and facts about the places in which you're stopping. And so the better you do, the more information you get as a whole about the Kurama and Eizon lines in Kyoto. So it's a nice little touch, and sort of kind of acts as a huge achievements list for you to target while you're playing the game. So with all of that, how do you get your hands on Japanese Rail Sim? This game had a very limited release in the US, and to now get an English copy of it is starting to get a little pricey. And in fact, getting a physical Japanese copy is starting to top $100 now. But even on the Japanese digital and physical releases, it will play in English if you have your Switch set to the English language. It is available in the Japanese eShop, not the English one, but the Japanese one has the game, I believe it's $70, as well as the expansion pack, which, as I've said, is well worth it. Now, if you think this is something that you would really enjoy, you can go to one of many websites. I usually use playasia.com to purchase a gift card for the Japanese eShop. And then you can use that gift card with an account on your US Switch that is marked as Japanese as its language. You can use that gift card to get the money to then purchase the games. And that's really the easiest way to get your hands on it now, unless you are willing to shell out a little bit extra for a physical copy. I absolutely love Japanese rail sim, and I know I generally talk about retro, but this game is worth talking about just due to the fact that we don't see this kind of thing all the time. So this is easily the most modern game that I have talked about so far on this channel. I'd like to know, would you guys like to hear more of these obscure, lesser known Switch titles? I've got a whole collection of them. Like I said, while I focus on retro, if you are interested in some of these more obscure, particularly import Switch games, I'd love to share them with you. So let me know what you think down in the comments, and you have a great day.
命です。大江戸線は電車とホーム